Welcome to another episode of Bad Station Works and working on the Mailtruck project. Well, as you might be able to see around me, the workshop is like super nice and clean. Like even the workbenches, there is room to put your hands and tools and stuff. And today is a very special day. SFRO is coming today. Gustav from SFRO is coming to inspect the car, the frame, and see if everything is up to spec, and if I can continue with the build like this and well be able to get the car approved and road legal. And the road legal part, that's the most exciting thing. So building a car, that's a one-off in very many ways, like the first Joven with a T5, with the first Joven with a frame, a tube frame. There is many firsts, and I'd like to add street legal to the list. That would be kind of cool, especially international, because in many countries it's not possible to do any modifications at all, let alone build a complete one-off car and then getting it street legal. But I have to admit, I'm super nervous. So the guy is coming in 5 minutes now, at least that's the ETA he sent me. And I'm gonna make him some coffee and treat him nicely. See if it helps. Okay, let's just.
Ja, 125.
135.
125. Oh.
Through this.
Okay.
Yeah. So I need to. I don't.
Oh,
want
you
to
need
start-
a test piece for.
Yes, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Because it's problem when it's round.
Ah, okay. But I can also weld like a little plate on it, maybe.
No, you're not allowed to.
Ah, it needs to be.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's also the 45.
Yeah.
But this is 40, by the way. Not enough air.
Det ligger för nära, tror jag. Men jag vet inte.
I think
Hur fan
the
kan ni göra det?
5.
What was it? 40
40 what?
millimeter.
That's 40. Yeah.
And that was 45.
Yeah, that test was 45. So this week has been a very exciting week because a few things happened. As you saw before, SFRO, the Swedish government organization. Well, I don't think it's actual government organization. Anyway, it's some kind of organization that's connected to the government. Let's say it like that. That approves cars to be road legal and makes sure they amateur built cars like this can be on the road safely. They were here, as you saw, and I got a VIN number. Yay! But the fun thing is that the last 8 numbers you can choose yourself. So when the guy comes over, first you have a little bit of a chat, give him some coffee. That's always a good idea. And he said like, what's the name of the car? So this car is now officially named BDW1 because, well, one. Hopefully that the more will come in the future. BDW1, and then we kind of make a list that says this kind of engine, this kind of raamwerk, it's called in Swedish, this kind of the type of frame building, the type of suspension, the brake sizes, blah blah, the wheel sizes, all the things actually that you can see if you kind of look up a car buy a registration plate or whatever in some kind of like government system, you always see these numbers, these spec sheets. So the first you do is make a spec sheet, but then you can also choose the last 8 numbers of the VIN number. So if you're going to do this SFRO process in Sweden, think about it before. What do you want the car to be named? Could be anything, Joven, whatever. Well, anything, not anything. You can't name it something with like a car company name, something that might mislead people. So you can't call it Volvo 1 or Volvo, I don't know. I don't know what kind of Volvo you could name this, but you can't say Volkswagen, Volvo, whatever. So it's, and then the 8 numbers. So the first thing that came to my mind was my girlfriend's birthday. So that's what I chose, because he's been a huge sponsor in this project, mentally mostly. So the car got approved. There are a few remarks he had, mainly that I have to put in. Well, the only actual structural thing he said is like, maybe it's smart to put a brace here, because this might be too much of a flex. And I agree. So I'm going to do a little bit of I think 2 triangles like this. So from the top mount down instead of straight down, instead of going in a curve. I'm not sure which tube size I'll use, but I'll think about that later. And the other thing, the main thing he said is you need to have defrosting on your window. So it needs to have a fan and heating. I was kind of intended to run it without, the same as I do on my Race 240. It has no heating, no ventilation, nothing whatsoever. And that works as long as you don't drive in, conditions like this. It's super pretty outside, but this is going to frost your windows quite quickly. So I need to fix that. That's well, a concern is a big word, but that's an update about what happened. I think what might be nice to tell a little bit about is how this works in Sweden. I think many Swedes might be wondering what it takes to build a car like this, like legally, with the security in the SFRO and everything. But also mostly for foreign people that are very surprised that you can do stuff like this in Sweden, and that you can get stuff like this road legal, and what it takes. So let me get to the nerd board. Oh, fuck. Anyway, let me get to the nerd board. I wrote down the steps, but I'm gonna put the camera on the tripod so you can see me pointing at words. So just now I got a nice box in the mail with some parts, and well, this is for the fuel system. That's going to be relevant later, but I already ordered it. This is an aluminum disc. An aluminum flange I made, designed for the fuel system. So this is going to keep this original ring in place. I have to machine a part out, but this is for the future. So apart from this, the main attraction for today first. Look at this. A super nice bracket to mount the ECU to the drive shaft tunnel that doesn't have a drive shaft. I'm still working on the wiring mess. This is far from complete, but well, this just got in the mail. I designed it a few days ago in Fusion, send it in, and then a few days later in the mail, this bracket comes in. Well, it has a nice finish, and it just bolts in. And that's it. The only thing I did was I painted the ECU black to have a little bit of a contrast with the aluminum, and it looks super nice. So if it's up to me, there's more of this stuff to come. And there is another treat from Lasercut. Look at this. Holy shit! Every time I see it, I'm like, holy crap! So they don't only cut aluminum, but also brass. As you can see, it's not gold. It looks like gold, but it's brass. And they do all kinds of stuff. Also polyurethane. So I'm going to probably use that for the window, so I don't have to cut them myself. And also have like a nice bolt pattern and everything. But that's for that's one of the last things I'm going to do. But let's get back to this. So this is super cool. So it's a layer of aluminum, laser cut, and a layer of brass, and they go together like this. And I'm gonna paint all the aluminum parts black, so then the gold will really pop and will be a real eye catcher in the back of the car. The only thing I did, I'm so stupid. So this is not square. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little bit rectangular. And in my head, when I went inside to design this, I wrote down the dimensions, and I was really sure that it was like horizontally orientated, like landscape mode, so to say, like this. But apparently it's more portrait mode. So now the logo is the wrong direction. So I wanted to point that way or that way, depends on how you look at it. But yeah, it should be symmetrical with the car, so to speak. So this is wrong, but it's easy to correct. Well, it's a waste of money, but I can probably use this somewhere else. So I can just take this away, and then later, if I have the correct one, I'll glue everything down. But well, this is so shiny, this will never last. So I'm going to put the protective film back on it and put it away in the cabinet, very safe. But this is probably something I can use here, maybe, I don't know, there is probably some kind of bracket or plate or whatever that I can attach that to. So it's this is not going to waste, but let me show you how easy it is to redo that. Well, I'm just going to let this be for a while and find the keys for the workshop, lock it down, and go inside back to the computer machine and well, fix my fuck up, because well, I make mistakes. It's not for nothing called bad decision works. It's like bad decision and a lot of mistake works, whatever. Let's get back inside. So now the orientation is in the right direction. So this side here, left, is the front of the car. This is the rear of the car. Left and right side, and the logo used to be the other way around, so I messed up. That means that the brass part, the yellow part on screen, is still good to go, so I only need to reorder the aluminum part, and that's easy. Let me show you how. So I select, so body 1 is the aluminum part, body 2 is the brass part, so I select this, I go here, I click export, I say IC cover 2, alu part. I make it a step file, that's important, and I'll just save it to my desktop. Export completed. Let's go to scannedcut.sa. Lada upp din file. I just move the file into here. It's processing. It says that it's analyzing the uploaded parts. You can also upload DXF files, but it converts it to so if it needs bends or whatever, it converts it to the right thing. So I'm going to remove the back plate because I don't need that, so I just need the aluminum part. I select here which material I want, and here you can see like acrylic / plexiglass, polycarbonate, polyethylene, aluminum, 3 kinds of aluminum, stainless steel, well, and normal steel, corten steel even. But then I choose 57, 54. I want to do automatic single side brush. No, let's do double side brushing, and then it has all the information it needs. So it's the green check mark, and I say calculate. I get a price, 400 kronor. I go to checkout, and if I now click next, I can calculate the shipping. Shipping costs are 76 kronor. So in total this fuck-up costs me 489 kronor. Well, excluding VAT, but it's everything together it's 612 kronor. And it's that simple. So I just choose how I want to pay. Click order now, and well, I'm not going to do that because I want to order more. So I'm gonna save it up so I only pay shipment once because well, I'm cheap. But if I click order now, then like in a 6 days, it says now, it always updates to the current estimation. Then there will be a new plate in the mail. It's that easy. So there we are at the board. SFRO, it's spelled like this, SFRO, as we say in Sweden. SFRO's nya bygghandbook. That says SFRO's new building handbook 2.0. They had this book for a long time, and I assume that rules change, so that's why it's probably a 2.0. This book has all the information you need to build a car, or a car trailer, or an EPA truck, A tractor, or a bike, or whatever, something that goes onto the road. It costs about 45 euros / dollars, 40 euros maybe, and it's money well spent. It's in Swedish only. There is no English version. That's a little bit sad, but it has all the information about ergonomics, like how do you need to position the seat, etc., etc. So there's a lot of information here, and it also has information about the steps that are required. I'm not going to go through all the stuff. It also has information about the bending strength of steel that you use in the frame and blah blah. But it's quite intimidating, to be honest. That's the first thing when I saw the book. I was like, oh shit, this is rocket science. But it's not that hard after all. It's if you just make educated guesses, you can come quite far with this. That's what I am doing. I'm not an engineer by far. I'm just a graphical designer by trade, so I have no idea what I'm doing. But anyway, these are the steps that you need to do to get the car road legal here in Sweden. So the first thing you need to do before you build is you contact SFRO and just get a connection with the SFRO guy. There is you have to give them a heads up, like, oh, I'm going to build something. I have no idea what the reason is there. I emailed the guy like a year ago, I think, like, hey, maybe I'm going to build, with some questions like, can I keep the registration plate? Is there a way so I can keep the registration plate, blah blah. And he answered the questions, and that was my registration at SFRO, I guess. So that's not a very important step. This second step, you start to build stuff. What for me was very unclear, and I can't find, and I couldn't get an answer from the SFRO guy, was like, how far should you build? At what point in the build process you should contact the SFRO guy, because he is you have to do this like halfway through the process. It's like where you actually like, okay, I'm actually building a car. Is this fine? Is this frame good? Do I need to make some changes? Everything you need to do exactly kind of like before you start to paint the car and like really finalize stuff. So that's kind of the thing I had in the back of my mind. Like, okay, now I want to fully weld the frame. Do I need to change something? Do I need to take away a tube or need to move something before I fully weld everything? Then I want to get the approval. That was like the point I chose. You can go much further than that, but keep in mind that like if something is not right, then you have to be able to undo it. So if you fully weld tubes, then well, it's really hard to cut them away and make them smoother. You probably have to remove more, and then well, before you know, you have to replace the whole frame. You don't want to do that. So that's kind of what they do in this first inspection from SFRO. Is they inspect the frame, the brakes, is there anything missing, and it gives you a lot of heads up, like, okay, don't forget to do this. For example, the defroster. I didn't think about it, but I thought I could leave it away. No, couldn't leave it out, but I couldn't. So that's the things he says. And then the other thing that you do, as I told before, is you make the spec sheet, you name the car, you think of a VIN number, and then the important thing is that you put the VIN number in the frame. We first tried to do it, as you saw in the screens before, in the takes before. We tried to do it on the front tube. But we couldn't get the machine to leave a proper mark, so then we decided to move it to one of the gusset plates that's in there, so like a flat plate. So if you do this before the first inspection, make sure to have a flat surface somewhere that's an actual part, not something that's welded on. It needs to be part of the frame, so some kind of gusset or whatever that you like can't remove. Well, you can remove everything with an angle grinder, but not easily, not something you can take off and then weld something else in place. So it needs to be actually a part of the frame. That's where the VIN number goes. and it's about a centimeter high and about 10-11 centimeters wide. So that's the area you need, but also you need to have a little bit more room around that for the machine to stand on. You can see in the clip that the machine has some kind of like a foot that needs to be positioned somewhere and clamped down for the machine to actually work and punch in the numbers. So that was that we spent most of the time trying to get the VIN number on the car. So that's a thing to make sure to have that properly prepared before the guy comes. So have a flat place, some gusset somewhere that you can put. Take a 25 by 25 centimeter area, then you'll probably be fine. Preferably flat. And also, by the way, that's a very important thing. It has to be on the passenger side, so on the right side of the car. Even if you have the steering wheels on the other side, it needs to be on the right side. So in a normal car, passenger side of the vehicle. It can be behind the cabin, can be in front. Best place is to have it around the top mount in the front suspension on the passenger side, so the right hand side. That's my big tip for this. So okay, then I have the VIN number, then you get then you pay. It's 5,000 kroner for the actual inspection, both inspections. So I already paid now for all the inspections. And then there is some extra money for the guy to come over. You can also go to his place, but I chose, since the car is very immobile and I don't have a trailer, I chose him to come here. I paid 1,200 kroner for that, so about $100. He lives not too far away, like an hour away, so you pay by kilometer. Then if you have all the documents, you can like announce the car, so to speak, to Transportstelsel, which is the DMV or RDW in Holland, or whatever government organization that does all the transport stuff, like all the vehicle registration stuff like that. So you apply for an oorsprongscontrol, which is like an origin control. Oorsprong is origin. So you enter the paperwork, but you have to do this as soon as possible because this takes ages. They said to me it probably takes around 10 to 12 weeks for them to process these documents. Then you finish building, you do painting, blah blah blah, and then afterwards the final SFRO inspection will come. And then I don't know exactly what they will do, but they will test the roadworthiness of the car. So they drive, test the brakes, they test the acceleration, etc, etc, etc. So if the car is heavily modified, faster, then they will know, because they will feel the guy is like, I don't know how old he is. He's a pensionaire, how do you say? He's retired, and he's been doing this his whole life, so he knows if it's 200 or 300 horsepower. So he knows these details. He's going to do a final test, and then he's going to approve the car. And then they're going to do a sound test. So the noise levels can't be higher than X. I don't know what X is yet, but I do need to get some silencers in the car. But you can do like a V-band setup where you can switch around like an open exhaust, like straight pipe, for something that has silencers in it. You officially can't do it, but you're not allowed to have V-band, so that's no problem there. So then the sound test, and then after that, like then the SFRO part is done, and then you can go to the regular inspection station. So in Sweden you have to do like an MOT, like a roadworthiness test every year, or well, all the cars you don't have to do, but like for normal cars you have to do it every year. And then, but they also do like import inspections, etc. So I did that with the lifted Volvo and the race Volvo. I built them in Holland, and I took them with me to Sweden, and then imported them here. And then they do like an MOT plus. So it's like an extra thorough inspection where they check all the exceptions on the car in case of my race car, for example, like the change fuel tank, etc. It's all written down on paper, and they also check like, is this actually the car that you are importing from Holland? Like they name it the oorsprongscontrol, so the origin control. So they want to know if this is not like a stolen car from somewhere in Russia or whatever. Well, 9 times 10 times it's the other way around, but doesn't matter. So then the regular import / MOT inspection, that also costs, I think, probably will be kind of the same as I did with the race car and the lifted Volvo. And I can't remember exactly, but I think it was like somewhere around 4,000 kroner in total. So altogether, this whole process will cost around 10,000 kroner, I guess, roughly 12,000 kroner. So 1,000, 1,200 euros / dollars. So that's it. That's the steps you have to do. And so yeah, if it's not clear already for the foreign people mostly, you can have a home built car registered, insured. That's also. And now think about insurance. What I should contact my insurance company and ask them what the rules are, and if it's super expensive, or maybe it qualifies as like an old timer, and it's maybe actually super cheap to have it because you make very little kilometers. Like the likeliness for an accident is very low. Well, yeah, that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but yeah, it's just based on the amount of kilometers you make. So, oh yes, one thing I wrote down some cheat sheet down here. But one thing that is very important, and an issue that I run into, so you can have 15 kilowatts per 100 kilograms. So this means if you have a car that weighs 1,000 kilograms, I'll put in the screen what that is in imperial bullshit. So if you have 1,000, that will be hard for me to get to 1,000. So I need to have an extra heavy battery and a very huge fuel tank and everything. If you have 1,000 kilograms, you can have 150 kilowatts, which is roughly, what did I write down? Roughly 200 horsepower. They said something else. 170. I don't know how they got to 170, but I'll email them and ask them how they get to 170. Let's write this down. So between 170 and 200. Let's keep it safe like that. And this 100 kilogram steps are in tjänstevikt, as they call it here. And tjänstevikt, I think it's curb weight. They call it in English. I'm not sure. But it's the full car, so it's the car itself, a driver, a generic driver, 70 kilos, a full fuel tank, a full radiators, coolants, etc. All the fluids, like a fully equipped car. That's important, and that means that you also can have, for example, a toolkit. Which, well, they don't approve you to bring like one of these super heavy duty floor jacks, obviously. But a few 5 kilos you easily get in a toolkit that's like for on the road, so to say. So that's just tjänstevikt. That's important. So it's not the empty weight. This makes it a little bit easier to get to a higher number in the kilograms. But you can get a dispense, they call it. Dispense. Which is an exception, I think, if you translate it. Dispense means that you can get 20, I hope that I'm not blocking the view, 20 kilograms per 100 20 kilowatts per 100 kilograms. This means that 1,000 kilograms is 200, that's easy math. 200 kilowatts, which is roughly plus minus 270 horsepower. And in this, the guy said 255. I'm not sure what the discrepancy is. I think this is the difference between horsepower, the European and the American horsepower. There is a difference there. I think I found somewhere that 1 horsepower in Europe is 0.98632 horsepower in America, brake horsepower. So I'm not, I have no idea. I need to read into this. Actually I don't care. So a T5 engine, which I have, which is completely stock, is 235 horsepower. This means that I need to get this dispense, this exception, to have these higher horsepower levels. And the higher horsepower level or the response, I'm not sure, I haven't applied for it yet, but apparently it's just a form, a blanket in Swedish, a form you have to fill in and send in and then just pay. I think the SFRO guy said that it costs around 3,000 kronor, which is 280-ish euros/dollars. So money is horsepowers. That's the conclusion. So that's what I need to do. So this is very unimportant if you're building a normal car, so to say, normal amateur built car. But this is important if you're building a road legal race car. No, not road legal. A road legal race car, because officially you can't have a race car. It's just a sports car, whatever. It can't be. So that's also. Oh, you're not. For example, that's also a thing. You're not allowed to have a 6-point harness. Well, you are allowed to have it in the car, but to be road legal, you also have to have it. Not also. You have to have a 3-point harness, like a normal belt, like a 3-point belt that you all have in a normal car, and you can also have then the 6-point harness, but you have to have, because that's safer or whatever. No, the reason the government wants you to have a 3-point harness is they don't want to allow like actual race cars on the road. Well, yeah. Anyway, so this concludes the long blabber about the SFRO stuff. I hope this is interesting. If you still have questions about what it takes to get a car like this road legal, what you can and can't do, please ask me. I don't want to say that I'm an expert here, that I know all the things, but if you ask the question, it's probably something I don't know, so I have to look it up, and that will benefit my project in the end. So please try to think of a question, even if you're not super interested. Just leave a comment. I like comments by now. Leave a comment, start the discussion, and I'll try to figure it out for you and thus for myself for the project in the end. That's it about that's the nerd board for today.